If I was teaching a kid how to ride a bike, one of the first things I would tell them would be probably, "You're gonna crash." And I don't say it because I have no faith in the kid. I'm sure that with time, effort, and black magic, they can become the best cyclist in the world. But no matter how much care you have or how good you are at driving one of these bad boys, sooner or later you're going to lose balance or crash into something and look like an idiot. There's nothing wrong with that. We've all been there. The problem begins when the thing you crash into is a person and also the one in charge of running the country you're living in. Which is exactly what I did last summer. Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between or outside that spectrum, welcome to Drawing and Chatting, the only show where the host was being surveilled by his government because they legitimately thought he was a menace to the president. That's me, Dr. Rex. Before we begin talking about the president incident, as I like to call it, let me tell you a little about the art being drawn in the background. This is the reference sheet I made for my new hat. You have no idea how long it took me to arrive at this design, and I feel really happy that the hat nightmare is finally over. I tried several different styles but only managed to give myself a brief depression over my perspective skill. Stupid hat. I even tried removing it altogether. It didn't end well the first time. Right. It will be only a second of pain for an eternity of freedom. 1, 2, 3. Ah! But anyway, enough about my self-destructive habits. It's story time. So, as you may have inferred from the introduction, I'm a bike guy. I love them, they're perfect in almost every single way. They're cool, fast, small, light, silent, except those that come with an engine and like to believe they're motorbikes. And also you do exercise. It's an all-in-one. So, every Sunday, some of the streets of my city are closed to most cars to allow bikes, joggers, roller skates, and people who like to play in the middle of the road to use the space for recreation. I even saw Forrest Gump running there a couple of times. But how does any of this relate to the president? Let me take you to the day in question. It was the beginning of the last weekend before college, or at least that's what I remember, and because college is 90% suffering, I wanted to make the most of the day, so I decided to take the longest route available. Not to brag or anything, but I can manage some 18 kilometers, or 11 miles if you're really special, without taking a break. I'm not actually sure that that's a lot. I don't talk to a lot of other bikers. Is that a lot? Anyway, I woke up really early to prepare myself. I had my exercise clothes, helmet, security glasses, and a full bottle with energy drink. I took my keys and I was on my merry way to meet my presidential destiny. It was quite a nice day. Birds were singing in the sky, the sun was shining, and there were a lot of people out having fun. All in all, I was having a really good time. I had reached the final portion of my route, and soon I would begin the long way home. For context, the street I was driving in is kind of a slow section of the circuit, and there's a lot of people just biking casually or kids learning how to ride. But because I'm me, I like to go up tiny faster than everyone else. And because I was approaching the end of the circuit and the rest of the way would be uphill, I wanted to make the most of it, so I decided to go even faster than usual, just a tiny little bit faster, just this one single time. Plus, I was listening to... Oh, shit. My screen just went black. Plus, I was listening to First Fly from Man of Steel, so I kinda felt like Superman with the wind in my face, because I'm a Superman fan. Shut up. Now, this is a representation of the street I was in. I was going this way, very fast, and maybe 50 or 80 meters in front of me, I have only one eye. I'm not great at depth. I see this cyclist in orange guy getting out of a cafe, apparently trying to get into the right lane, like, well, you know, a normal person would. At my speed, I calculated we were gonna crash, so I decided to go left to pass him and be happy. Unfortunately, I didn't remember Master Oogway's teachings from Kung Fu Panda, and I didn't take into account that, maybe one meets its fate on the road he takes to avoid it or something. So, cyclist in orange guy does this weird U-turn thingy across the road for some weird reason, and when I realized what was happening, it was already too late. And all I could say was, oh, shit. Whatever happened after my bike crashed with his is kind of a blur. Like, my memory goes from hitting his front wheel with mine to a couple of seconds of black and darkness to me sliding across the pavement. I remember especially that the palm of my hand was rubbing kind of hard against the pavement. I can tell you, it was super painful and super hot. In a fiery sort of way. Not that other one. You pervert. I miss having real hands. Once I stopped sliding, I simply looked around, saw my bike on the ground next to me, and I stood up, cleaned some of the dust in my clothes, grabbed my bike, and went sitting under some tree or something. I'm not sure about that last part. Maybe I did get a concussion. I'm quite a resilient guy. At least, that's what mom used to say. I don't remember feeling a lot of pain at the time, but maybe it was the adrenaline or the sexism in me telling me not to cry. Who knows? Of course, a lot of people came to my aid as soon as they saw me get back up and bleed on the ground, essentially. I especially remember this one lady coming to me with this glass of water and ice and pouring it into the injury of my knee and shoulder. How I managed to hurt my left knee and right shoulder at the same time? I don't know, I'm special I guess. So as I'm sitting there, telling everyone I was alright despite the fact I probably wasn't able to walk for more than 100 meters, orange cyclist guy approaches to see if I was alright. Because he was going really slow, he was practically unharmed. He apologized for his weird maneuver and I apologized for going so fast. That's the thing with cyclists, they always apologize when doing something stupid.
Except for that one guy.
Anyway, after making sure I was as okay as possible, he said his goodbyes and left, allowing a team of what I thought to be inside paramedics to tend to my wounds. If you're wondering, yeah, orange cyclist guy was in fact the president of my home country. Why am I mentioning this just now? Well, you see, the thing is I didn't recognize him until like 20 minutes after the fact, and only because everyone around me told me,
"Hey, whoa, you crashed with the president. That's fun."
Now, for most people, when crashing their bikes with the presidents, not sure anyone has ever said that before, their first thought would be something like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, what have I done? I don't want to go to jail, please. God have mercy. Ah. But I was like, so, I'm kind of hungry, and I wanna go home. The inside paramedics turned out to be the personal bodyguard team of the president. They were camouflaged like regular people, so I didn't recognize what was happening until they began to tell me exactly what had just happened. And I was like, I was there, I saw it, I felt it. They treated my wounds, put some medical gel thing here and there, and finally put on some bandages on my open wounds. Once all that was done, they asked me, hey, so how are you gonna get back home? To which I simply answered, I'll just walk. Thanks for the medicine and stuff, guys. Keep protecting the country or whatever it is you do as your work. They were probably asking themselves if I had a concussion or something. I asked that myself every day, because as I was saying that, I had a bleeding open wound in one of my legs, the palm of my hand was burning in pain and also bleeding, and the back of my t-shirt had literally burned from the friction with the ground, and now I had this giant hole in my back, and it was visible to all. So obviously, then they asked, where do you live? And I say, Yellow Brick Street 67. You didn't thought I was going to say my actual address, right? For a bit of context, that's really far away, like an hour and a half walking, and probably more in my state if I didn't, die. So the bodyguards offered themselves to take me and Storm Rider back home. Although I'm sure I could have made it eventually, I accepted and climbed aboard the Secret Service Express. The bodyguards seemed like good people. We talked for a while, made a few jokes about the accident, and asked me to give them my phone number. They told me maybe the president would want to call me back to see if I was alright or something. And for a brief moment I had this crazy fantasy where the president called me and invited me to dinner and we became BFFs or something. I don't know. I was delusional or something, it was the pain. So I, of course, gave them my number without hesitation, believing to be, like a famous person. He never called back. The more likely explanation for them wanting my number was to track and hear whatever conversation I may have been having at that time. I'm quite sure they got bored to death. I don't talk to anyone in a phone anymore. That's kinda sad. After all, they are the people making sure no one's tried to kill the president, be it by bicycle crash or otherwise. I obviously never intended to crash into the guy. Didn't even realize who he was until everyone else told me he was the guy. So I'm pretty sure I'm not being followed anymore. At least that's what the funny voice in my phone keeps telling me every night. I eventually arrived home, scared everyone with my wounds, and proceeded to spend like 2 weeks recovering mobility in my left leg, the first week of college. Fun fact, I actually got 2 pretty big scars from that accident. I have this thing that looks like some sort of bruise, but it never goes away, and another that looks like if someone had dropped some acid on me. Try and guessing where those 2 scars are. But as some raccoon once said about a movie about apes, scars should be something to learn from. And now I'm driving slower, safer, and avoiding every president I see, which is actually pretty easy. Which begs the question, how the hell did I manage to hit a president with my bicycle? Probably, yeah, but do I look like the kind of guy with the money and time to buy those things? Yeah, no, they're not that expensive, but I'm lazy, so... Anyway, hope you enjoyed today's episode of Drawing and Chatting. I'll be posting the reference sheet for my hat into my socials, which you'll be able to find below in the description. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. It really helps on an emotional level to see people like what I do, and maybe your support can help this video get to more people, and together we can make them happy. Next video will be up pretty soon, I hope. I've been planning it for a long time, and unless my appointment with the dentist goes wrong, it will come. Don't worry about it. I was serious this time when I said I was back, and I'm not gonna take like a 1-year hiatus over a hat. All I'll say about this next video is there's going to be the raiding of some tombs involved, if you know what I mean. And if you don't know what I mean, I probably sound like a sociopath like right now. Dear audience, I'm Dr. Rex, and it's been a pleasure having you on today's show. Drive safely, don't crash into any presidents, and I'll see you all in your nightmares, creatures of darkness.